So the file extension of Java is .java. So I'm giving that Java C followed by file name .java. Please note that this .java represents the file extension of Java. This is the way to compile your Java program. Next, how to execute, how to run Java program. Here you need to use the command called Java. Java is a command. It requires an argument. The argument is actually class name, right? To execute the Java file, we need to use the command called Java. It's going to have class name as an argument. This 2 points refers how to compile a Java program and how to execute Java program. Okay, so we have learned that how to install Java, how to set a path, how to validate current runtime environment. Then you all know about how to compile a Java program and how to compile, that is how to run a Java program. Now we need to write a Java program. So I'm going to write a very basic Java program. So I'm using, okay, so you can take, okay, before going to know writing the Java program, I'm going to discuss the interesting facts in a basic program. Okay, so this slide shows the basic Java program. So here the program going to have class called simple. Inside the simple, I have written a main function. So the main function going to have two keywords additionally. The keywords are public and static. Void, we all know, the main function return type will be specified as void. So inside the main function, okay, the argument of the main function is string arguments. Here string is a class. So inside the main function, I having the statement called system.out.println. Within this, I have my printable statement. So I given hello guys as a printable statement. So I'm going to discuss the internal facts of this program, right? So what is the meaning of class? What is the meaning of public? Why we need to add the keyword static? Why we need to include void? And what is the meaning of the system.out.println? So we know hello guys is a statement. Okay. So what is the use of this keyword class? The keyword class is used to declare the class in Java. If you want to declare your class, you must use the keyword called class. Here simple is the class, so we have used the keyword called class. Next, if you take C++ or Java or any other object-oriented programming, it will have some access modifier. The access modifier represents the visibility. It means that is it exists in a private area, or it may be accessible between the class, or it allowed to accessible from anywhere. So we can categorize the access modifier in three ways. One is private, next one is protected, the last one is public. So private is specific to the class. If it is protected, it will be allow the access between the class. If it is public, you can access the data member and method from anywhere. It means that the visibility of your classes all. It means that you can access from anywhere. We all know the keyword static is exists in C. We are actually having static variable and static method. So if the method is static, it means that if the function is static, we can call that function as a static function. In Java, we are treating function as a method. So we are calling the method as static method. So the core advantage of the static method is it doesn't require any object. It means that generally if you are writing a method inside the class, it requires object, right? So if you are writing a static method, if you are writing a static function without an object, you are allowed to access the method exists inside the class. That is the main advantage of static. So why the main function is static? So we all know the main function is going to be invoked without any external input. It means that if you want to run your program, what will be your starting point? The starting point will be a main function. In case if it requires object in the sense, we cannot execute the main function. So we need a way to execute the main function without any additional object. That's why we have included static as a keyword for a main function. So in Java, the main function is always a static method. Why in the sense? Without an object, my JVM going to invoke the class. So here it is a static method, so it doesn't require any object. And also it's going to save the memory. That is a one more additional advantage of static. Okay, we know why it is void. So void represents the return type. So if it is void, the main function doesn't going to return any value. Okay, what is a main? So main is the keyword to represent the main function. Here it is a main method. So it's going to be the start of your program. Okay, string argument is used to take the values from command line. So along with your program, if you want to pass any values, those values will be in the form of string. So the default command line argument of Java is string. So string is a class, predefined class exists in Java. Okay, so we are having so many keywords like public, static, void, we know main, right? So how many ways we can write a Java program? So first way, by changing the sequence of modifier and method prototype is not changed. So you can take this example. Okay, so for example, the static public void main, we cannot write like this because the static is specific to function. So static public void main is the one of the way to represent your Java program. Okay, next you can also change the subscript notation. So it is a Java array. So it is not only for this case, you can do the same thing for all the Java array, right? So for example, you can see different codes. So this is whatever we have seen in your basic program. Okay, string, square bracket, space, argument. So argument is an object. So args is an object of class string. The second way is I have added my subscript before the object. So in previous case, it is actually entered at class. In second case, it started with an object. The last case, it is a very simple array representation. String is a class, argument followed by bracket, that is subscript notation. So in this way, you can write a Java program. Either you can choose first case or second case or third case. Similarly, you can also change public and static. So please note here, method prototype is not changed. So I will show the problem while you're changing prototype in next slide. So you can also provide variable argument that can be passed as the argument for a main function. It was represented using 3 dots. So this slide shows the example public static void main string dot 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 args. So we can also write a main function like this. Okay, you can also use semicolon at the end of the class, but it is an optional. So here you can say that, okay, class test. So test is the class. So I'm using the keyword called class. So the class is actually ended with semicolon. So if you're using semicolon, your Java compiler never throws any error. But it is an optional. Without the semicolon also, you can compile your program without any error. Okay, please remember, these are all the valid Java main method signature. The first one, okay, the first 3 things are a very same common public static void main. I have changed the subscript notation. So subscript nearer to class, subscript nearer to object, subscript at the end of an object. So in fourth line, I have used variable argument using triple dot. In next case, I have changed public and static. So it is interchangeable. So first initially started with static, then public, void main. Here again, you can also use for possibility, whatever we have discussed so far. Okay, next, we can also include final, right? So final is a keyword. Final keyword is applicable for variable, method, and class. So if we are using a final keyword for a method, we can call that method as final method. So you are allowed to have a main function as final method. So if you are included final, it will be like public, static, final, void main. It is your command line argument. So we can also switch over the final between these 3. So I have placed the final at the first position, final, public, static, void main. So this is the command line argument. So please remember the invalid Java main method signatures. So if you are excluding static keyword, it means that the main method is not a static method. Why it is invalid? The JVM need an object to invoke the method main. So the first representation is not feasible. Okay, you can take, if you are removing public, in the sense the function will be like static void main. So if you are excluding public, it means that your function is going to be like a private. So if it is a private, we cannot access from the outside of the class. So if we want to access the data member and method outside the class, the access modifier must be the public. Okay, why I am treating the static void main as a private? By default, if you are not explicitly specify the access modifier, that will be considered as a private. That's why I'm treating the second form as a private. Okay, so you can consider the third invalid Java signature, public void static main. Here, actually, we know you are allowed to change the modifier sequence, but you are not allowed to change the method prototype. Okay, what is the main purpose of void? The void going to represent the return type of a main function. Okay, so in the third line, what will be the return type of a main function? The main function return type is static, but it is invalid. That's why I'm saying the third line is invalid signature specific to Java. The last one is the usage of abstract. So abstract keyword is also exist in Java. So while discussing while discussing abstraction concept, I told that in Java, abstraction is achieved using abstract class and interface. So there is a keyword abstract exists in Java. It means that you are allowed to create abstract method and also you are allowed to create abstract class. Please remember your main function must not be the abstract. So if it is an abstract, it doesn't going to have any implementation. The main purpose of the main function is it going to have multiple implementation. That's why I'm saying that the usage of keyword abstract is invalid signature for Java main function. Please remember the first half shows the valid Java main method signature. The second half shows the invalid Java main method signature. The invalidation will have certain meaning. Okay, now it's a question given for you. What happens at compile time? So you can take your own time, right? So you need to write a basic program. First, set path. Afterwards, you need to create a program, basic program. I will show the basic program. Then you know how to compile a Java program. Just compile, right? Then check whether it is true or not. So here I given the file name simple.java, the block, first block. It's going to have a program. I'm using compiler. You can treat this compiler as Java C. I'm saying that it created a program called simple.class. Whether you need to check is it true or not. Just try. So I'm going to add one more point, right? So you now actually I'm working under the directory C uses Shabari, right? Okay, if I want to work with some other directory, you can choose the directory first. For example, okay, for your class, I'm going to save my files under D drive CS8392. So I'm simply creating a new directory here. For example, sample programs, right? So in this case, I want to store my files to sample programs. So for that, if you want to switch over to some other directory, you can first type the drive. So actually the folders exist in D drive. So I'm using D drive here. So next I need to switch over to CS8392. So for that you need to use the command called cd. Cd stands for change directory. Here you need to mention your directory name. Directory name is 83 CS8392. Now the current working directory is CS8392, but I need to store my files under samples programs. So again cd sample programs. Okay, now the current working directory is d:// CS8392 sample programs. So if you want to clear the command line, you can simply use cls. Okay, so now I'm going to write a program. So first I'm going to show what happens. Afterwards, you can proceed with your laptop. So now I need to set a path. So first I'm setting a path. Set path d:// directory CS8392. Under this, I have a directory JDK 14.0.2. It will be up to binary. So if you want to open a notepad, if you want to open a text editor, you need to include one more path along with JDK. So I'm going to add one more path here. So I'm using semicolon to separate path. So I'm going to include the system directories of Windows. So I'm writing C colon Windows slash system 32, right? This is a system path. It's going to invoke all the applications of Windows from the current path. So I'm simply entering. Now the path is setted. So I'm going to verify the path Java version. So it shows 14.0.2. Now the path is ready. Okay, so I have setted the applications of Windows to the current environment. So now you are allowed to open all the Windows application using this command line. So now I'm going to open the notepad. So notepad followed by I'm going to give the file name. So I'm taking file name as simple.java. So it will open the new file. So under this file, I'm going to write a Java program. So as like a C, we need to include some header file. So how to include header file in Java is, instead of include, here I need to use import. So here we cannot call the header file. We are calling the file collection as a package. Here import command is used to include packages. So import java.io.star. So I have included the classes exist under the directory Java IO. It means that the root directory is called Java, the subdirectory is called IO. So I have included all the classes exist in that directory. Okay, next I need to declare my class. So I'm going to, we know the class name is given in my block, that is simple. Here it is a class, so I need to use the keyword called class. Next, I need to mention the main function. The main function must have three keywords, namely public, static, void, main. So the command line argument is mandatory, that is string argument. So this is an object name, right? So you can use any name here. Here I'm using ARG. Okay, inside that I am writing a statement system dot out dot println. So here I'm using ECE, right? So I'm simply closing that. Okay, so I'm saving this file using Control S. Okay, next time switch over to command prompt. Now I'm going to compile my Java program. So Java C space file name. So if you are referring any tutorials, they normally use the same name for file name and class name, but it is not mandatory. So in this case, I given file name and class name as simple, but in later classes, I will use different class name. But please remember, the Java compiler command going to use file name. Java command going to use your class name. Okay, so first I'm using Java C. So Java C will take file name. File name is simple. The file extension is Java. Okay, now the compilation is over. Okay, so now I'm going to check the directory CS8392 sample programs. Now it has actually created two files. So the source file is called simple.java. It is newly generated file called simple.class. This file is called bytecode file. This file is only understandable by JVM. So if you open this file consists of Unicodes. So we cannot view this file, but we can read the file using the command called java p. So the java command p is used to read the content of bytecode file, right? So in the slide, I have shown that, okay, what happens at compile time? While doing the compilation, your source file will be converted to bytecode file. So the file extension of bytecode file is simple dot class. Here simple is taken from your class, right? So your class name is actually referred in this bytecode file. For example, for your understanding, now I'm going to create a new file, right? So I'm closing this file. I'm opening new file called notepad, some sample.java. So here I'm including same content. So import java.io.star. Here I'm using different name for my class. So I'm taking the class name as demo. So inside that I'm including a main function, public. So I'm using different representation, static, void, static, public, void, main, string. So I'm using here arg. So I'm using same statement for printing the value, system.out.println. So inside that I'm using EC professional elective. So it ended with semicolon. Okay, I'm using an optional semicolon to terminate the class. Okay, so now I'm going to compile my program. So compilation, I need to use the command called javac. Here the file name is actually sample.java. So I'm using sample.java. Okay, that is a mistake in println. So I'm changing this. Okay, so now I'm executing the command again. Now the compilation is successful. Now I'm looking for the directory sample program. Here you can see that sample.java is a source program. It was created a bytecode file called demo.java. Actually, where it is taken demo for this file name, it is taken from your class name, because the class name present inside the sample.java is demo. That's why it created demo.class as a bytecode file. Okay, so now you familiar with the compilation. Now I'm coming to the execution part. So how to compile? We need to use the command called Java. So Java followed by my class name. So for a first case, the class name is simple. It shows ECE. For a second case, the class name is demo, which means that while executing the program, it's going to invoke the bytecode file. What is the name of the bytecode file? The name refers the class name. So I'm referring the class name here. So Java demo, it shows ECE professional elective. This is the way to compile and run any Java program, right? So you work